Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on October the 2nd, 2019. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual here, we'll get started with our analysis here, and we'll start off with our Forex factory calendar here. Okay, so in terms of the data here, we had PMI numbers out of the Eurozone. They were below expectations here, and the Reserve Bank of Australia cut rates, and also the PMI numbers out of the US were also below expectations here. Now, coming up here on Wednesday, we have the ADP non-farm employment numbers here. These will be important because they're precursors to our non-farm payroll data on Friday, as well as we have the crude oil inventories here. And if there's a drawdown here, that will be bad for, so actually no, if there's a drawdown, that'll be good for the oil and good for Canadian dollar. If there's a buildup, that will be bad for oil and bad for Canadian dollar, which means dollar CAD is likely to go up under that scenario. But other than that, not a ton of data here. Still bank holiday here or in China. And we have trade balance numbers out of Australia tomorrow evening as well. So a light day in terms of news. So let's move on to our charts here. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our euro dollar here. So euro dollar here hasn't really done a whole lot. It's been going sideways here. Price had dropped, but then it turned around right away here at 1.0880 level. So if we zoom back out here, we see this is the support resistance level where price is struggling at. So here, it has pulled back up at this point. So right now, I would say bias is neutral here. We could see price go up higher. It really depends on how. I would take a look at 1.0950. If price stays below this number, I would look for price to drop again. Something like this. If it doesn't break above today's high, we're likely to see a drop. However, if it goes through this resistance, then we could see price go into the next level here and then further up here. So for now, bias is neutral. But like I said, if it goes through the high for today's candle, then the next target is 1.10 and then 1.1020. So neutral bias for dollar CAD. In terms of pound dollar here, pound dollar has been sideways. Yesterday, we were looking for a drop, price dropped all the way down into 1.2200, and then it pushed back up. So there were comments in regards to a potential agreement being reached between EU and Brexit. EU and UK in order to avoid the no-deal Brexit. And as a result, we saw price go back up. So it moved back up. But at this point, if price stays below 1.2350, this support resistance level, then I would look for price to drop still. So in this case, it's a neutral bias, but a little bit more to the bearish side here. So I'm looking for 1.2200 as the first target, 1.2150 as the second target. Now, again, with this thing as well, if we see positive Brexit comments, we could see price go through the high through 1.2350, should that happen, and then it can continue higher. For now, though, it's neutral, but more biased to the downside. Aussie dollar here. Aussie, we saw a big drop as a result of Reserve Bank of Australia cut interest rate. Price went right through our second target here, and we have a big bearish candle close. Now, we could get a bit of a pullback here. Bias is to the downside, but now we are into this major support that we haven't seen in quite some time, in a number of years. So last time price was at these levels was back in 2009. So bias is to the downside, but just be careful here, because now we're getting into levels that we haven't seen for a number of years. So there could be some strong support there. So watch out for that. But bias is to the downside. Once we see price drop through the support level, we could see it drop further. For now, though, I am looking for a pullback here, potentially into 0.6740, and then a further drop. So this support resistance level is strong, and looking for a drop further here. First target is 0.6680. This is the support level that we were targeting. Second support level we were actually the support level we were targeting yesterday, and then the next level is 0.6600. So bias is to the downside, and looking for a further drop. New Zealand dollar here, this one is also biased to the downside. We had talked about the support here at 0.6250. Price went through that, but then there's a large pin to the upside here. So with this one, we could see a move back here into this previous support resistance level. So my bias is still to the downside, but I would look for a pullback into 0.6280. If it stays below, then I will look for a further move to the downside. But I would start becoming a little bit more cautious here with the US dollar, especially with the overarching, the impeachment inquiry and everything that we have going on at the moment. Just be mindful of that. Things can change. So at this point, I am looking for a retest of the low at 0.6190. But if it goes through 0.6280, then we could see it go all the way into the next level here at 0.6350. For now, though, I'm biased to the downside, and the move that I would look for would be a potential pullback and then a drop here. So bearish bias for New Zealand dollar as well. Dollar CAD here, this one has gone in both directions here. We had a big pullback all the way up into the previous pin here. So bearish bias now, a big bearish candle close for the day. We are still into support. Price hasn't quite broken the low here, so I would watch out for that. But bias is to the downside, so we could see a drop through the support at 1.3200, and then a potential drop from there. So bias is bearish here. In terms of the target, the first target is 1.3180, second target 1.3140. So bearish bias for dollar CAD. All right, commodities now. So looking at silver, silver looks like we have support. Price is into this level, support level here. So this one could go higher here. So bias is bullish. So I'm looking for a bit more pullback here. 17.50 is the first target, and then 17.90 is the second target. So bullish bias, so looking for a bit of a move higher here for silver. Gold here, gold is interesting. It dropped and then pulled back. Right now, this one is looking neutral. What I would look for is how price reacts at this 1487 level. If we see that price stays below the support resistance that's at 1487, I would look for a drop. Now, should price go through, then this becomes bullish, and I'm looking for price to go further up, in that case towards 1514 level. For now, though, I am neutral on gold, and really it's the move of price action right into this previous support resistance that will tell us how we can align with this one. But if it stays below, then bias still stays to the downside. Should it go through, then that changes, and in that case I would be looking for a move higher into 1500 first, and then higher into 1520 and so forth. So let's say 1500, we'll just leave it there, but 1487 is the important level. So neutral bias. So Oil here looks neutral, came into support, and then bounced off of this level here. So at this point, bias is neutral, and I would look for a move back towards 54.75 level. If it stays below, we could see a drop here. But the bias here is neutral for oil. So we have moved, or we have seen this move all the way back to this previous support level, this big gap that we had as a result of the attack on Saudi oil fields, that has been filled, and price is right back where it started. So at this point, we have to wait and see. Bias is neutral. Copper here had a huge drop here. Yesterday, we were looking for a move down. Got a big drop here, but now we have a large pin here. So my bias is neutral because when we have a big rejection here, this one could go higher. So watch out for that. But if price stays below today's low, today's high, my apologies. If it stays below today's high, then I will look for price to drop further and come back down here. Now, should it go through, then I'm looking for a move back into this previous level at 2.57. So at this point, I am going to wait and see. So neutral bias for copper. Bitcoin here, Bitcoin has pulled back. We saw a drop, price has pulled back, and we are into this previous support resistance level at 85.50. Now, bias is still to the downside. If price stays below 85.50, I will look for a drop here. First target is 7,700, then 71.80. So bearish bias for Bitcoin. S&P 500, a big drop here. So bias is bearish here. Watch out for a pullback into 29.50 and then looking for a further move to the downside here. So bearish bias for S&P 500, and this is the move I'm looking for. 29.20 is the target to the downside. For NASDAQ here, this is bearish as well. Price went into resistance, dropped, and now bias is bearish. Next target here would be 76.20, and then if it goes through that, 75.75. So bias is bearish. In terms of a pullback, we could get a pullback into 77.20 level potentially, and then I would look for a drop. So bearish bias for NASDAQ here as well. DAX, big drop here. We had talked about how price was into the top of the range. It dropped from there, so this is looking bearish. Looking for a move back towards 12,135 here. And below that, we're looking at 12,000. So bias is bearish for DAX. Nikkei here, drop as well. Looking for a further drop. Bias is bearish. And this is what I would look for here. So bearish bias in terms of targets here. I am looking at 72.60 and then 7,200 as a target, so bearish. And last but not least, Nikkei here, this one is bearish as well. And in terms of target here, we've got a 21,500. So bearish bias, look for a bit of a pullback, actually even higher here, potentially into 21,800, and then looking for a drop here. So bearish bias here. So that's all we've got. So we'll wrap it up here. Have a wonderful evening, and I will see you tomorrow.